Hello, Brett Ethridge here, co-founder of Franchises for Fathers, joined by Jess Love, founder of HomeSmiles. Jess, it's good to talk with you.
Thank you very much, Brett. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. I want to talk about really sort of the state of the economy and specifically AI. I mean, it's the topic everybody's thinking about when we're thinking about business, the value of maybe moving into business ownership, what the employment arena looks like right now. And then at the end, stick around for the end because I do want to talk about family business and legacy business and that piece of things. But I'm going to start with sort of a really big, open-ended type of a question, and that is, with what you do, how do you perceive the state of the economy right now, where we are headed in terms of AI and potential recessions, and is the economy going to go up or is it going to go down? And maybe where home services and where HomeSmiles fits into that landscape.
Well, Brett, I mean, it's a great question. It's a broad question. I'm going to break those down into kind of three different subsets so that we don't droll on forever, as they say. I would say the general state of the economy, as far as HomeSmiles sees it, is it's stable. There was a lot of uncertainty out there, I think, in the marketplace. At present, and we felt that. We felt a lot of potential franchisees hesitating, wanting to see how things settled out before they made a decision. But I think that time has passed. Our franchise sales in just the last 2 quarters have accelerated. I think because of the certainty that's now in the marketplace, people feel at least that there is a stable footing for them to move forward, I guess, would be the best way to say it. Top line sales across the brand are also very strong. We're not seeing a hesitancy in the marketplace to spend on the home in the marketplace. In fact, we're seeing an uptick across the platform, which is great. Your second question as it relates to AI, I mean, it is such a broad question, and I'm going to focus in on what I'm seeing, and then feel free to extrapolate more. We are a Silicon Valley based franchise, and so we see a lot of the leading trends of AI come to us first, if you will. I mean, a lot closer exposure to it, I guess I would say. And one of the things that I have clearly seen just in the last year is the impact upon AI in the general workforce marketplace and the impact that is having upon, I would say, some senior level, but also mid-tier, in looking to reposition or pivot their career track in order to obtain some stability. I was shocked earlier this year. I had a conversation with an attorney. Obviously, I can't mention name or where the attorney worked. However, this attorney had been with this organization for over 20 years. They had gone from a department of 30 attorneys in this department down to 3. And he was one of the last men standing. And the reason for that was 100% caused by AI. And this attorney said, I need to control my future, and I want to buy a franchise. And he, obviously, smart individual, intelligent, well-educated individual. What he looked at and what he saw was the most stable place for me to put myself is in the home services sector, because it is, as we've seen, as we all saw through COVID, it was one of the areas of franchising, or if you will, just general services, that did not get just absolutely hammered in one form or fashion. So he decided to move forward with the HomeSmiles franchise because of the stability and the desire not to experience, if you will, that feeling again that he went through with the impact of AI upon his career.
Yeah, it's very real. And I mean, any cursory look at your news feed and the headlines, layoffs are happening across the board at major companies in the tens of thousands. So it's very real, and a lot of it is being attributed to AI, and I think there's a lot of fear around it. So I've got 2 questions for you, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper. I want to learn more about HomeSmiles and what you're seeing there. But what is one truth about AI? Something you would not acknowledge and say, this is this is real. This is costing people jobs. This is something people really need to be conscious of. They need to be thinking about it if they haven't gotten touched by AI yet. This is the truth. And then what's a myth? Where is this being overblown? Where is it fear-mongering? Where is maybe a lot of the headlines and publicity missing the mark when it comes to AI?
I think the brutal truth, and this comes from friends of mine that are at very high level companies that manage AI, is that we have not even seen the tip of the iceberg. I do not see an industry that will not be impacted by AI. Across the board. I think unless you are in a trade that is holding a tool, something that requires hands-on application, you will be touched by AI. This goes back, if you will, think about it, an attorney, college, law school, bar exam, coming into a firm or any placement like that, generally considered to be almost an untouchable arena. And to have AI is eviscerating the legal landscape right now. So I think the truth is, for people that have their heads in the sand like an ostrich and they're saying, I'll be okay, I'll be okay, I'll be okay, I think it is time to hear the alarm bells ringing and to step back, get off the merry-go-round, sit on the park bench, and really think, how can AI impact my career? How can AI impact my marketplace? Because it definitely will have an impact. I think, I don't mean to get satirical about this, but your question brings to mind, and I'm sorry, but my wife's main concern is this is Terminator Judgment Day coming down the line. And who knows? But I think, that is a little far-fetched. But I do believe that AI will touch every single sector, every single employee out there in some form or fashion. At HomeSmiles, we now have, because of our presence in Silicon Valley and our proximity to such great minds in AI, we have an AI first policy. So every single thing that we look at, every single new hire, every single new application, every single process goes through an AI filter. And you have to prove to the C-level, do we have to hire this person, or is this something that we can automate through AI? And that AI first policy, literally, you'd be shocked what you actually do need people for these days.
So let's talk now about HomeSmiles and why home services is such a potentially good landing place for somebody sitting and watching this who might be a lawyer, doctors, frankly. You think about what AI can do now in terms of reading charts and, all of that type of stuff. Like you said, there's no safe haven, and is thinking, I need my plan B before I need a plan B. So why would home services be a good landing spot? I was at my son's football practice a few weeks ago now, and I looked out on the field. They had a game that weekend, and there's this little robot motoring around the football field. Now watch it for a second. I was like, what is this little robot doing? It was painting the lines on the field. And I'm thinking, that is replacing somebody's job, because I remember, the coaches would have to do that work or whatever. So I say that to kind of post this idea. Are home services immune from AI? A robot can't fix drywall, can it? It can't clean somebody's gutters, can it? Can it paint a house? So talk about HomeSmiles. We're talking about HomeSmiles, and maybe you can introduce what the brand is and what the service you provide is. But talk about how home services is at least insulated, perhaps, from the threat of AI.
Absolutely. I'll set the stage. HomeSmiles, briefly, we're America's largest pure property maintenance company. So what we have done is we have taken the concept of an oil changers or a Jiffy Lube for your car. You drive in there to get your oil changed, and they say, Brett, we're also seeing on the computer here that you also need a filter change and a radiator flush and a differential change and all these things. And so we're the same concept. With one click, one call, we will come out, and everything from roof to foundation, we will do the maintenance that is required. So gutter cleaning, window cleaning, pressure washing, dryer vent cleaning, furnace filter changes, carbon smoke alarm checks, everything down to flushing your water heater, snaking your drains, you name it. And so we're a one-click, one-call solution. our flagship product is HomeSmiles 365, where for $79 and $99 a month, for less than you pay your gardener, we're going to come out 4 times a year. We're going to do everything I just mentioned, plus for spring, summer, fall, winter. And all of our services are seasonalized, meaning we're going to do your gutters in the fall, we're going to clean your windows in the spring, we're going to pressure wash your pool deck in the summer. And so your house is not only maintained year-round, but it is also safe, kept safe for your family. And I think that's when I think about AI and I think about the impact upon the home services sector, the one thing about home services and HomeSmiles, and specifically, obviously, that's my specialty, is the fact that it's not a fad. It's not a here today, gone tomorrow ice cream cookie franchise. It's something that has to be done every year. It has to be recurring. That's why we have such a high level of recurring revenue for our franchisees. And it's not something that is electable. And when I say that, the point when people think of HomeSmiles, they think about my house. You're thinking about your house. Our primary, by the time our franchisees balance out about 3 years in, they're 50% on the B2C and 50% on B2B. And the reason for that is because the large company, over the majority of the U.S. population is renting, right? It balances, but right now the majority is tilting towards renting. And so those properties have to be managed, not only from an asset value standpoint, meaning that whoever the investor is that owns them wants to make sure the property management company is taking care of them, but also from the safety standpoint, making sure that those occupants are safe. Are those carbon and smokes checked? Is that dryer vent clean? Is it going to light on fire? Has the garage been pressure washed? Is there a slip and fall hazard? And those services from the property management and facilities management side, they're not electable. They can't decide whether or not they want to do that. They have to do it. Otherwise, somebody's going to get hurt and they're going to get sued. So even during COVID, we had at our corporate-owned franchise, which I can speak about without getting permission from anybody else, our volume went way up, because everybody is at home, everybody's looking around and saying, hey, I actually do need to clean my gutters. I didn't notice that when I was working 80 hours a week, but now that I'm here, I realize my furnace filter is filthy. So I think home service sector is just, it's a great place to be moving forward. I love the terminology that you used, that it's insulated. It's not immune. I mean, 15, 20, 30 years down the line, I don't know how long it's going to, you're going to have robots, you're going to have all kinds of things. The one thing about home maintenance because I think about these things, you can see some of the robots that Musk and others are putting together. They're pretty impressive. But the one thing about real estate is that every property is unique, right? And so some gutters have drip drains, some gutters have gutter covers, some gutters are just clean, are just open. So training a robot in that context, there may or may not be enough of a marketplace for that industry to focus on that. But what I really see is this is something where you're going to need a technician hands-on, simply because of the eccentricities of every single piece of property is unique.
And certainly in the near term. And one of the things you said that hits home for me is you talked about how it's home services is not a fad. It's not here today, gone tomorrow. It's something solid, stable. Real estate's never going anywhere. People are going to continue to own homes. And at Franchises for Fathers, we're big into legacy. We're big into, hey, can we get our kids working in this business? Can I pass this business on to my kids? If I'm going to invest blood, sweat, and tears into building this, I'm going to move out of corporate maybe, get into a business. I want to make sure it's going to be here 10 years from now, 15, 20, 30 years from now. And that's certainly the case here. What would you say to somebody watching this, maybe a corporate type who is getting a little bit antsy about my job security, seeing a little bit of the writing on the wall and saying it's time to make a move, but I've been in consulting, I've been on Wall Street, I've been in medical device sales, like whatever it is, I've built a really nice career. I want to move into business ownership, but I don't know anything about home maintenance. I don't know anything about painting or whatever it is. Why would it still be a good landing spot to land with HomeSmiles or any of other Fran Growth's businesses perhaps? Speak to that aspect of things for somebody wondering if this is the type of move they should make.
That's a great question. I see anybody who's going to retool, repurpose, retrain, there's always a modicum of fear, right? This is something new. This is unknown. Am I going to be able to handle this? I know intimately on HomeSmiles side, our training is vibrant. It is deep. And I know on behalf of Fran Growth, all of our brands have deep and entrenched training principles. I would say that any type of repivot, retool, where somebody coming out of corporate is going to be looking at acquiring a franchise, because like you mentioned, you do have to pour your blood, sweat, and tears into it, right? It's not something that when you buy a franchise, you're not just buying it and sitting back and collecting a check. You are being given the opportunity to build something great, right? And you're being given the opportunity. At HomeSmiles, we're big fans of saying you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? We're here to help you every step of the way, to help you achieve success through your work. And I love I love the theme of your podcast, because it is something that I'm clearly seeing just in the last couple of years. We have 4 or 5 father and son teams out there. The wife is involved, the mother is involved as well to some in some form or fashion. But we just had our annual conference that had over 100 people in Denver, and we had 3 or 4 of the teams that were there at that point that were up and running, and seeing the fathers being able to interact with their sons, from my own personal relationship with my son and my daughter, and being able to spend time with them and teach them about business and help them grow their businesses. There's nothing like it, right? I mean, it's to be able to spend my day working with my kids on their respective businesses and seeing these fathers work with their sons. There's so much as a parent that you want to impart to your children, but there's so few hours in the day to do it. And especially if I'm 80 hours a week in a law firm office, I don't even have time to share those lessons. But if I'm with them 4 to 5 hours a day, and I get to interact with other people and then say, hey, you see how I did that? Or, hey, you did a great job there. We just want to tweak that a little bit, but you're doing awesome. I'm super. Yes, absolutely. And the most important people in your life are the ones that you're investing with. So I love I love the theme of your podcast. And I think it's something that we're seeing come, and I don't know what the cause is. It could be AI impact on the marketplace. It could be a multitude of things, but it's something in the last couple of years that even at HomeSmiles specifically, speaking firsthand, we have seen change and we've seen come around to these father-son teams, and I love to see it.
Well, I thank you for your time. I thank you for sharing your insight, certainly from being in it day to day and what you see coming. Is there hope? Do you have any parting thoughts? What would you have to say as any sort of final thoughts for somebody watching this, curious about business ownership, curious about HomeSmiles, and maybe to alleviate some of the fear that people may be experiencing around this topic out there?
I would say if you're experiencing fear about making the jump from what I call a W-2 employee to being the captain of your own ship, don't hold that against yourself. That's normal. It's common. You've spent 15, 20, 25 years being told what to do, and here you have an opportunity to go do something where you're going to be, the captain of your own ship. I would say that I can't speak to every franchise platform on the planet, but I can speak to FGC's brands, and I can speak as to HomeSmiles, that you can do it. You can do it, and you can achieve the life and the vision that you've always wanted, to go out there and to be of service to others and to build something great, to leave a legacy for yourself and your family. And we're here to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. If you are intrigued by HomeSmiles, curious if you would qualify, if it's a good fit for you, reach out. There's contact information and links in the notes below. Reach out to me. Happy to talk to you and help you find a right fit franchise for you and your family.